So, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Don't know what the hell that phrase is all about, but neither here nor there. Chinese elms are really good about rooting from cuttings, rooting from reasonably sized cuttings, and from root cuttings. Now, these are two root cuttings that I set last year. Now, as you can see, I neglected to water that one. That one got watered fine. And that's one of the problems when you have too many trees, is you end up skipping ones, ignoring them, not seeing them, and sometimes they don't let you know until it's too late that they're in trouble. So this one, even though it was watered, doesn't feel like it did anything successfully. Now, roots don't look all that healthy. And we're going to see if there's any life under there. Little hint of life. This side is dried out, that side is alive. I'm not going to waste any time on it. Got another one here. This just did absolutely nothing. But again, we'll see if there's any life under there. Oh, nice green layer. Might be worth giving it a second shot. All I got to lose is some shelf space. So now here's my root cutting with no roots. So what am I going to do? I'm thinking I'm going to dust it with hormone and stick it back in, or I'm just going to throw it on the compost pile. Not sure where I want to go. A lot of green. Nice cambium there. This one's only got a tiny bit of green. So compost he goes. This other one, I know it's ridiculous, but I'm going to try and root a root, which in theory I shouldn't have to do. But either I screwed up during the course of the year, or it was too fat and didn't want to root. Damned if I know. But we'll give it some hormone, give it some fresh soil, keep it warm, see what it does. In the meantime, nothing of interest there. Now, this is one that looks like I kept it wet and it never did anything. The roots down below still look healthy. Top half looks half dry. Got a little hint of yellow-green there. Probably on its way out. So let's cut down below, see what we got. I'm not seeing anything. That makes me confident. But again, just shelf space. And if shelf space becomes a premium, out it will go. As my friend Joan likes to say, off with their heads. Alright, now another way that people like to root cuttings, everyone's, oh, can I just stick it in water? Can I just? Yes, you can just stick it in water. Not the best way to go about it. So here's a whole bunch of leftover cuttings I had from some incidental pruning I was doing, and they were just left in the bottom of that plastic container, and lo and behold, the little buggers made roots. Okay, now the biggest problem you have when you root in water is transitioning into real soil or bonsai soil. And the reason is your roots have been in this beautiful wet environment. Now you're going to put them in this relatively harsh environment. It's all dried out. This one really wants to do something. Not sure what I'm going to do with them. And what do we got here? And this pyracantha, little guy made roots, and this one is all funky. Now, had I rooted this properly, my roots would be down here, but because it sat in the water, and whenever I remembered to fill it, it got more water. It's done some really interesting, interesting root growth all along the stem. That's hysterical. So I'm not about to start cutting all that away. I'll just trim it, stick it in the nursery pot, and who knows, maybe it'll become an exposed root bonsai at some point. Compost. Now let's find an appropriately sized container. Alright, so let's get rid of this branch, which is doing nothing. I've got roots all the way down to there. This branch is making roots. Wow, this is going to be crazy. Now I'm pulling out any little hints of old leaves. Don't need them rotting away under there. Don't know what they'll do. What do we do for an angle? Huh. And you should be making your decisions on your planting angle as soon as you can. So even as a freshly set cutting, I'll have that planting angle in mind. Good idea to have a plan for style. I have none of that for this one. Maybe exposed root. Who knows? But we can start the process. Now, when you root in water and have to transition into soil, it's a good idea to use pre-moistened soil, and that's all I ever use is pre-moistened soil. And we'll see what happens. Kind of funky. Now I got this little guy here. Just throwing a root out up at the top. Don't need that. Don't need the thorn either. So we'll give him a little square pot. See how he behaves. Again, I'm always looking to spread those roots as soon as I can. Now the key when you're doing any of this kind of work is aftercare. Where are you going to put them? What are the conditions where you plan to put them? Can you keep them at the right warmth, the right moisture, the right sunlight? All very important and not easy to do. This poor thing. It's got 3 little roots. Love my bamboo skewers. Really got to get a cameraman in here to do some close-ups while I manipulate the plants. Not holding out much hope for him. But if he makes it, he makes it. My instructor's attitude was, you got nothing to lose except some shelf space. If it roots, you're ahead of the game. If it doesn't, no big deal. So you'll see me do things that other people would frown upon. And frankly, if it works for you, that's all that matters. This guy trying to put out something still vibrant and green and moist. Give him a chance. A little rooting hormone. Probably put him on the heat mat. And that's another thing that will help you, is bottom heat. So you can go online and look up heat mats. He's not going to go in a growing area, he'll go in a propagation area. And then these are the tray of what looks like failed trident maples and Catlin elms. The Catlin elms obviously didn't fail. Trident maple is a tricky plant to root. They tell you the best time to do it is in August, when the twigs snap like matchsticks. So I'm fairly confident that these cuttings are toast, but lo and behold, vibrant roots. Top looks like it's half alive, half dead. We'll put it in a pot and see what happens. Same thing on that one. Roots look good. That one's toast. That one's toast. That one's toast. 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 And this is where you can get into doing what people call the tug test. A lot of people are impatient, don't want to wait to see how their cuttings did, so they'll come by and they'll tug them. And if they're loose, they'll throw them out. If they're solid, then they're like, oh, it's got roots. Problem is they do it too early and too often, and you end up stressing. Like this, I don't know. It's got a moist green layer. We'll give it a shot. Some Super Thrive. Elms are really good about rooting. They're a lot of fun. Do a lot of things with them. Over the course of the year, I'll show you some of my crazy elm projects. And I got an idea for this bench here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it today or if I'm going to hold off till later in the season. Woo! Look at him. There's always one. Always one. Dead, dead. Alive. One-sided. Mostly one-sided. It's making me think they might be viable candidates for a group planting. Compost. Now, potting's the same as the other ones. Hit the roots with some Super Thrive, either before you pot them or after. Enough soil so that you can keep it moist. I like to use the mound method. Place the cutting directly on top of the mound. Then fill in around it. Water it in with some Super Thrive. Again, Superthrive is optional. Some people swear by it. Some people say it's a total fraud. For $5 for 1,000 cuttings, I'm not getting worked up over it. It either helps or it doesn't. Alright, let me finish these up and I'll show you some other stuff.